Alrighty, giving it a second to boot up here. Looks like it's actually showing. All right, so here we are. I wish I had a better scene, but that's actually one part of the game. When it has crazy weather like this in one of the many regions that it has, that means that there is a chance for a specialty very particularly difficult enemy to spawn. So this is actually a good thing in terms of gameplay to see all this wild, like, blizzardy, flurry kind of stuff happening. Not the best to start off to show off the place of the game. The reason I wanted to start here is because this is actually the main town of what is currently the furthest point you can get into the game until they release updates to the game, of course. But I wanted to start by just kind of like showing it off, showing off what's going on. As you can see, I have collected at least a couple outfits and things. This is probably the most like stream friendly that I have found, because almost every other option, at least that you can get in the game, from when I started playing the game, is quite a lewd, if you will. So and that's actually a big thing I wanted to show off. That's something that I think, something that really did set aside the game from me about other MMOs, is that there's this reciprocal reward, kind of like feature in the game, where you can, if you play for a long enough, or you at least, utilize your resources in a specific way, people who purchase stuff it's still kind of like a loot box lottery kind of thing, but people who purchase rolls for this like loot box thing, they can take extras or stuff that they don't want. They can put it up for sale for in-game monies on here, and it's not a bad thing either, because if you pay real money into the game and then you get something you don't want, you can sell it on here to get a lot of money, and then you can go purchase something that somebody else has put up that you do want. And so it does have this like very largely community focused way of playing the game right now. And you might have noticed, if you are big into VTubers, I'm not big into VTubers, but it's there. You can see that there's a Ninome Inanis hair. They are actually doing a this is a good example. No, it's not a good example. Well, here's a somewhat good example. They are doing a for those interested, and this is what I thought was kind of relevant, and I wanted to start with this. They are doing, in the real money, like purchase to play, purchase to roll shop. This is the wrong menu. They are play scratch tickets. They are doing a virtual streamers setup right now. So if you want to look like Fabuki or Ina, or this guy who I'm not sure who is, you could do that, and you can jump in, pay real world money to roll for these prizes. And bear in mind, this is like 2% per item out of like 100 items with different percentages. But something I wanted to bring up, because I have brought up that Ina, among a couple VTubers, is among one of my favorites. So I thought I would just bring that up, just so that people don't think that I'm playing the game just for that reason alone. This is something that just barely released. It was on the 24th. This was the event that I was talking about when I was first describing why I've been gone for so long. Which actually brings up the point, when you sign in, it'll actually tell you how long you have played the game. And it has told me that I have played 155 hours into the game so far. So I'm 155 hours into the game. So if anything here looks like it's like, wow, that's cool, or that's good stuff, it has taken me 155 hours to get to this point. So just bear that in mind. So yeah, so I mean, for all intents and purposes, this is like an MMO, right? Like in the purest sense of the form. When I think of MMOs, I think of um, Blizzard's game, World of Warcraft, and I honestly think of Phantasy Star Online because if any Japanese people reference in like media what they make, like anime, manga, stuff like that, if they refer to an MMO, for the most part and for a long-standing amount of time, they'll create characters that are very reminiscent of Phantasy Star Online characters. Uh, this is, I think, Sega owned, and Sega also has made some stuff with Hatsune Miku, and there's some costumes for like Sonic that I've seen running around. So it's just a really interesting like full packed game. The reason I wanted to show this off is because I wanted to show off what I've been doing for so long, for 155 hours apparently, is I've been sitting down and playing this game. I am done with all the story content. The story content took me about 60 hours. Most of what else I have played past that has been me just jumping in once a day, or like once every other day or so. And you can do a good number of things, but one thing is that you can get these daily tasks which push the game is very complex. I think one of the bigger things that's annoying about this game to some level is there's a lot of complication around how you find items and how you get items, right? I was about hell. I guess I can walk you through them all. I guess you could walk you through them all. So the game's primary combat is a thing, right? And then you have a big old world that you can run around in to accomplish different things. This is currently the Kavaris region. This big blacked out one is what they're hopefully planning on releasing around Christmas. We don't know exactly yet, but they have said they are going to add a new region around Christmas in like their, rollout plan. And so you just got this like whole big map, and in each of these maps there's like little battle zones that you can go to and just fight enemies, or you can do like tasks and things, and the storyline follows you through the tasks. So in the tasks you have your main task, which is like your main story tasks, side tasks, daily tasks if you want to do stuff every day, weekly tasks that update every time the week happens, and if you're doing something special, you'll find something in limited time tasks. But that's not where this ends. So, you can also get items from participating in Alliance activities here, which is this guy, Alliance Activity Support Tim. You can get items from Tim because he will also provide you tasks that you can complete to acquire certain specific items that you can exchange in the Alliance badge location. And then there's also a number of other ways that you can get it. You can get it from the aforementioned scratch ticket roll, where you can sit down and pick amongst the various rolls that they have going on, and which prizes they have in those rolls. You have to, like, each time you do a roll, it grabs one of them out of there with a certain percentage, right? And then and then you can buy items in the treasure shop, or in two versions of the treasure shop, because they operate. This game has 3 different forms of money, and so you have the treasure shop where you can buy some stuff, and this updates, I think, daily. So you can sit you can sit and get some stuff daily to sit down and deal with. And then you have the item recycle shop. So if you have items that you don't want, but you want to swap out for other things, you can recycle them in here to get those new items, which is also a crazy way of writing it, because it will tell you, for example, that there is 4 needed and received 1. I feel like it would be nice if they showed you, here's how many you need to get 1, right? Just like 8 for 1. Something, I don't know. It does make sense now that I read it. I don't really read it a lot because there's a lot of different ways to get stuff. And there's still more! There's more ways to get things. So you could go into here, which is your ARCS records, which will show you your random challenge records, which you can click into, and it'll give you these badges, which you can exchange over. Hold on, let me get over to it. Let me get over to it. You can exchange those over here at the item trader, and the item trader also has the item recycle section. You can sit down and do item exchange, so you can exchange various like limited time things or whatever in there for stuff. You could. This is just a separate thing, like they call it PSO2 manga memory exchanges. I don't know how to get those. I just got them during an event that happened. And then you have the ARCS record badge exchange, which is where you exchange the aforementioned ARCS record badges that you can sit and put into here. And then that's not the only place you can get or exchange items. There is also this unmarked girl standing out here, not underneath any of these specific booths, where you could talk to her and you could exchange various items for her, so that you could go into a special zone in the Kavaris region to do things, and you could get what is currently the most powerful weapon in the game for each class, right? And then you can also, within different sub-quests, this is a questing counter, which is different from all the tasks that you had in your different task menu. You can come in here and you can get limited time quests if they're doing an event. You could do trigger quests, which are quests that you trigger by exchanging items to do these quests, so that you could get specific items from these quests as rewards. And then you could do the ARCS Chronicles main story, so you can just like replay what happened in the story if you want. It's actually kind of a nice feature. Not a lot of games really seem to do. And then you have this other section where you could replay all this other sideline content things that you could do. Those two things aren't items related, but that is also another place where you get items. And then you can also get items from the item shop, which, as you notice, there's nobody standing around this, because these are all like level 1 whatever kind of things. And that is not every place that you can get items, but that is a large majority of the place where you can get items, exchange items, or play with items, or do things with items. And it's incredible and it's crazy. And you want to know what else is crazy about this game? So there's inventory, right? Most games have inventory where you have one character, they have their inventory. You'd be wrong by thinking this game has only one inventory. This game has your current character in-game inventory. You have your default storage, which is shared amongst all the characters you have across all of the different servers that you have. You have the character storage, which is your specific character's storage for this character only, but not your currently carrying storage. You can purchase temporary storage. I don't know if I actually have access to that or not, or what's going on there. I've never figured out how to use it. I probably should, because I'm almost maxed out on my inventory. Then you have premium storage, which you could purchase to put then more items into storage for only a limited time. And then you have your temporary drop storage, where if you're out and about and your inventory, like your current character playing inventory walking around storage, gets full, it'll go into the temporary storage. And then if you somehow do not have a way to get to items after you've completed a quest, there's also a temporary quest storage. And if you notice down here, you can also purchase material storage, which is something that's for a limited time from what I understand. You have let me get back to it. You have extended storage, which you could buy here, or you could also buy it with real money. And then I think this is only equatable to PSO2, the original game, but you could also have OP team storage. I don't actually know what that storage is, but look at all of this. This is an entire menu just for storage, so you can go around the game and collect all the crazy wild items that they have to offer. Oh man, you might be wondering, how do I know that all these things exist? because I've played for 155 hours so far, and literally every time I jump onto the game, I learned something new about the game. That's why I have been playing this game for so long. Just even after I finished the mainline story quest stuff, it does start to get repetitive. It just starts to get grindy past that point. But there's always something new to do. There's always something new to just like sink your teeth in with this game. And that's why I've been playing it for for as long as I have. It's just because there's just so much about this game that's crazy and unique and different and weird. And then, which is also kind of weird and wild in its own way, there's Lei Mei over here. She grants you other daily quests outside of your daily quests. So if that didn't sound confusing enough, it can get worse. I just be happy the fact that it's not yet too much worse. Why do they make it so complicated to get to all these things? I'm not entirely sure. I think it maybe does just kind of make it feel like there's a lot to do when a lot of things could just be easily consolidated. But I don't know. You know, I don't know. I'm not on the development teams. I couldn't really say. This is the first time I've been able to see into the ground. But so, what are we going to do today? I'm glad you asked. So what I do every time I jump on, and this will usually only be for like an hour, and if I want to take it further, I'll usually take it for like 2 hours. I always start with the daily tasks, because the daily tasks give you money and EXP, whereas if you do LeMay's side quests, they only give you EXP. So I always start with the daily tasks, because that's just the thing that gives me stuff that I actually somewhat care about. And it actually doesn't even give you a lot of money, but it does give you... Oh, that's another place to find items. It does give you little like tier unlocks, and if you go to your tasks, there's a mission pass, basically the same thing as a battle pass in like Fortnite, and you level it up by completing daily tasks, and you can collect all these different items, some cosmetic, some for upgrading stuff. It's just wet, wacky, and wild. There's a lot in this game. There's a lot of different crazy ways to get items. And so, yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the dailies, right? It always gives you a food stand and a region mag. Those are different things for different reasons. This whole stream is probably just going to be me, like, explaining paragraphs of text. And I want to try to avoid that as much as possible. But if you're going to have any level of context as to what's happening, I feel like you do kind of have to get like just plastered. I was gonna say a slightly less appropriate. You're gonna get plastered with just like a bunch of information. Like, you know, it's still something I would highly recommend. It's still a really great game. Still really fun. But yeah, so we're gonna start with this. So we're gonna do foraging for Thames meat in Central Kavaris. That's just a sub-region within the Kavaris region. And then Bulugana Ruins. We're gonna do that. It's basically, you just have to go kill 50 enemies. Not too big of a deal. That's why I'm saying that, like, if you really get down to it, this game can be played just as like a quick thing that you jump into for an hour. Oh, there's one more thing that I did want to mention. I think I've already gotten it because I was up pretty late last night. But if you go to the scratch tickets, and it'll notify you, but if you go to the scratch tickets, there is a play for free once a day scratch ticket, which I think is this one. You could get like decent cosmetic prizes from here. So something to bear in mind. I think the cosmetics are probably the most strong thing about this game, even though there has been a lot of like lewd stuff they've been releasing, partly because it's summer and they want to just get like bikini style content out. It's laggy. I have not been able to figure out how to solve the lag. I have turned the settings all the way to an absolute minimum. I've tried researching if people have found luck with lag by switching their servers. I've tried to see if like anything else can happen, and I don't know. I really honestly don't know how to fix the lag. So if there's lag, I'm sorry. This is the first game I've had like 100% like consistent lag in the game, even at the lowest settings, right? And it's not like my computer's bad, but it's not terrifyingly terrible, right? It's just like it's an upgraded work machine with I think it's like a 2070 in there. I think it's a 2070. So I am a couple generations back, but ultimately it's still not bad for this, for something of the scope of this game. It's still not bad. So which it actually does, at least in terms of like loading, but not lag. Oh, it's stuck in the rock. At least in terms of loading and not lag, this game actually does pretty good when you turn the settings all the way down. It will look like a PlayStation 2 game if you do turn all the settings all the way down. Just keep that in mind, but it should be fairly accessible. And it is a free-to-play game, so I mean, hey. I think they did that on purpose too, because the graphics of the original version of this game were basically like the transition period terms of graphics between PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3. Like early PlayStation 3 graphics is what it looks like, more or less. And so yeah, that's just where it is. Oh, Tame's Meat, that's right, okay. So Tame's Meat is basically just, it's a mechanic of the game where you can go and kill essentially docile enemies to get meat, so that you can use that to make food, which gives you different buffs while you play the game. Hey, there we go. We already got it, so pretty easy. Like I said, if you just jump in and you know exactly what you're doing and where you're going, it's really easy. You could get it done in an hour, especially if you're max level. So, which is another crazy thing I want to just kind of like touch on. There's like 8 different classes that you can swap between almost immediately. And I still only have this maxed out at 155 hours. Did I just get a rare drop from just popping in? Oh, that's another thing too. This has an Overwatch kind of style of like recording for enemy kills. If you're just in the vicinity, you just get the kill. Which I know is like, Overwatch is even a little bit more stingy than that, where you have to actually do damage to a character for it to get you a bleep like you killed somebody, but it's very forgiving, this game, for achieving kills and things. Which is why it's pretty decently easy to sit down and reach numbers like kill 500 enemies. You might be sitting there thinking like, ah man, it's gonna take forever, and it's like, nah, I mean, it takes like, you know, maybe 30 minutes, and along the way you will also complete a number of other challenges if you have them, you know? So it's pretty easy. Pretty easy in the sense of like accomplishing the greater task, right? So yeah, what is going on here? Oh, we need to, I will say this game is very menu heavy. I wish there was a slightly better way to deal with menuing in this game. Oh, probably not even worth putting that on because, yep. All right, we just already finished it, right? 50 enemies in the bag. There we go. There we go, folks. 50 enemies are already done. And to finish the daily quests, and we're only 20 minutes in, right? Like, to finish the daily quests, the last thing that I need to do is I just need to go to a specific place on a map and find, like, a little exchange place where you give it items and it gives you buffs. And then create that food that I was basically talking about. There's a lot more to do, so we're going to hang out for a little bit longer, but yeah. Like, if you wanted to just call it here for the day, to just sit down and do dailies, like, there you go. Like, you know, game over. Like, so I think this game's very accessible, which is another reason why I feel like I've been able to sit and play it, because I could just jump on for like 30 minutes. This all sounds like an ad, but there's a reason that it sounds like an ad, and it's because, and I'm 100% serious, I have hated, like, personally playing MMOs for almost my entire life. I say almost because of this game, right? I have hated almost every MMO for basically the entirety of my life. The major reasons being is that, like, it just kind of feels like walk to a place, press a series of buttons, like, in consequence. You know, because in like other MMOs, especially World of Warcraft, you have your abilities like 1 through 9, and then you just sit down and just, you know, press like 5 of those buttons, and then it's just like, oh man, you really got that enemy, you know. And I know there's a lot more to it, right? Like, don't be a hater, don't be hating me, but I know there's a lot more to it. I know there's a lot more depth and complexity, but at its core, if you're just sitting down and just doing stuff like that, that's what it feels like. This game, there is a lot more to it, and there's a lot more depth, like minute to minute, I feel like. Like, I'm constantly moving. Like, look at this, you know, I'm floating around and I'm shooting all these guys. I'm having a good time. Whereas other MMOs, you just kind of walk up, you stand there, you use your ability, the thing dies, and then you move, and then you stand there and you use your ability, and I don't know. I feel like this is a lot more approachable for somebody like myself who enjoys platformers, probably more than a lot of things. I really do enjoy shooters too, so there's a lot of people playing. So these areas, these specific areas where you fight just a bunch of creatures and stuff, they are hosted in specific rooms. It's seamless, so like if you're just walking around the world, it'll just put you in a room and say like, go at it. But this is operated on like a rooms base, so if you're not playing with anybody and there's like nobody else in this like grind zone, you could just sit there and be like, all right, fine, you know, if I can't, you know, do XYZ in this grind zone, then I'm gonna go ahead and, you know, just transfer over to a room where there's a lot of people in the zone, and then that's just kind of how it is, you know. So it's very accessible to find people. You don't have to feel like, oh man, I have to jump servers and do this, do that. It's just easy to get to things. It's just that there's a lot of menus that you have to sit and figure out. But anyway, so I digress. That is the whole bigger point. Oh, but like a big part of the reason that I feel like I'm gonna be the big part of the reason I feel like I get MMOs now actually comes from a story of something that happened not that long ago, even just like a good old couple days ago or so. So I was playing the game, and that little quest counter that I was talking to you about, or just kind of showing off and spurting a bunch of information at you, in that quest counter, there is an encounter where you fight the major protagonist of the game that they've at least, you know, had on display, right? You do like an encounter with the main baddie of this version of the game, but it's like a much more difficult version of it, and so I was like, oh man, I'm the recommended, you know, level for this. I should, you know, be able to do it. And I was thinking, because this is the hardest thing in the game, there's probably a lot of other high tier, high level people, because if you look around, right, like there's like, you know, upwards of 100 some odd plus people here. And so I was thinking, like, I'll just jump in and a bunch of other people will also want to be doing this thing. Turns out that's not the case, and the reason is it's extremely difficult. So I sat down and I was like, okay, this is apparently something not a lot of people want to do. So I like wrote into just the open air, because you could just like chat everybody in the room. I wrote into the open air and I was just like, hey, does anybody want to do this thing? Does anybody want to play this with me? You know, and so it's somebody who was doing like a big role play routine thing, just like absolute chat of a dude. He sits there and he goes, I might want to play that mission with you, you know? And I'm like, all right, my man, let's do it. And then, like, I try to figure it all out. Am I full on quests still? I try to figure it all out, and I'm like, okay, cool. This is great. We should be able to do it 2 people. I anticipated initially being able to do it with 1 person. I was like, no, it's cool. It's great. We'll do it 2 people. But he started running off, and I was, like, trying to figure out how the party system stuff worked, because it was my first time using it in this game. Let me take a quick drink of water here. And so I was trying to figure it out, and I was like, oh man, doesn't he have to like be somewhat nearby me to initiate this? So I run over to where he is, and I see that he's like just gesturing at a bunch of different people, and I'm like, what's he doing here? You know, what's he trying to accomplish? Why is he gesturing at these people? And so I kind of sit back and I'm like, what what's going on? Why is this guy gesturing? And then like all these people just started like sitting down and talking to him, and he's just like, oh, hey, what's going on? And then they start gesturing back, and they just start building this like rapport without talking to each other. And I'm like, this is wild, man. A lot of games have gestures, and there's like an intended way to utilize gestures and stuff, but here's this character just like sitting down and role playing using all these gestures and chatting a little bit into like the open air at the person. And he's like, yeah, you should like join our troop. We're gonna go do this quest, yeah, And I'm just like, I get what he's doing now. He's trying to recruit people. Like, and it was like this like shock moment. I was like, wow, this is wild. Yeah, he's just like approaching people and like trying to get them into this quest with us. To like do it, right? And I was just kind of like taken aback. I was like, all right, I'll play your game. I'll do this, right? Like I'll do what he's doing. And so I started gesturing at the people that he was gesturing at, and then the person was very much like, I have these people gesturing at me. What's going on? And then we'd sit there and we'd be like, you should join our quest. And then we like ran around to a bunch of different people who were doing like cosplaying in the game. And they were doing like all this stuff. We walked up to somebody who was trying to like cosplay or like roleplay. I guess it's more roleplay. Cosplay is a physical thing you do in the real world. But he was doing a roleplay as a grunt from Halo, and we were like, man, you should totally like join our deal. Like, we're doing this thing. We're gonna go do this quest. Like, come on, it's good. It's cool. And he's all like, oh, sorry, man, I'm going to bed. We're like, oh, no, And so we go on to the next person. We do the same thing to the next person, and they use a gesture where they like float away. And so they just like floated away to the other side of the thing, and I was like, oh, man, they wouldn't join us. But then the next person, they were totally on board, and they were like, let's do it. Let's do it. And the guy is role-playing the whole time. Like, he's really keeping it up, and I'm like, I get this now. I understand why people like MMOs. It's for this reason. You can just walk up to a bunch of random people with no stress and no pressure and just be like, check it out. I want to do this thing. How do you feel about that? And then they could just sit there and be like, that's cool. I'll check that out with you. I'll do that thing with you, And it was just like so crazy to me. In the moment, I was just like, because you hear about that, right? Like big news people and people who like try to explain like phenomenons and stuff. They sit down and they're all like, oh man, hey, check it out, right? Like, there's this group of people who sit down and role play and MMOs and it becomes like a second world to them, right? And it's like, I can completely understand that, because I have made friends with a lot of people in my life who are at least not the most sociable, and so it does make a lot of sense to me that like somebody who's in that position would definitely want to sit down and just play a game where they can enjoy some persona that they don't exemplify in real life or couldn't exemplify in real life. At least not without a lot of like pushback, and they could just approach these other people that have probably a completely different view on the world and be like, hey, check it out. We should like hang out, you know, and like just do some questing and stuff, you know. And it was wild to me because like here's this person who loves the game and who loves role playing, and they're going all in too, right? Like they were changing the way that they were like chatting in the game to reflect the kind of character that they wanted to like portray, and it looked as though they had spent at least enough hours or enough money in the game to have like a very customized like costume and everything. And they were just doing everything. They were just engaging with everything. Real quick, this is the exchange thing that you could just shove some stuff in, and it's like, oh, get a boost. You get a boost, and it's like, oh, you get rare drop rate up by a certain percentage, and low temperature resistance, which is a mechanic of this region I'll talk about later. But he, I'm assuming it's a he, right? Like, that's the thing. It's completely anonymous, right? So you can just be anything and do anything you want. And I was just like, I was imagining I was imagining this situation for a minute. I was like kind of going over it in my head, and I was like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I get MMOs now. I understand why people enjoy that, because I was thinking about people I've made friends with in my life, and I'm like, this makes a lot of sense. This makes a lot of sense that people would want to sit down and engage in this way. And, you know, it makes sense why people spend like hundreds of dollars on games like this, because they want to sit down and like really commit to the role and really commit to who they are. And to some degree, that means like dressing up and personalizing in a way that they feel is relevant, you know? And that could take many different forms. You could either spend a bunch of money and have like a character. It's like, my character likes to go on shopping sprees and accessorize, and you know, and then they just like change the whole thing. Or you have somebody who just dresses in one thing and is like, this is 100% my character, my whole thing, my whole deal, you know. And I'm just like, this works, right? And he's such a nice person too. And I was just like, that I totally understand this. This is a place where people can sit down and just enjoy stuff and enjoy other people. And the barrier of entry is like, because like I was saying, like, even though I think this game is great and it's fun that they offer you so many different ways to get items and different things to focus on, it has a level of a barrier of entry where you have to kind of commit yourself to do it. You can't just be like, you know, big, you know, Call of Duty bro jumping in and being like, I'm gonna start being rude and mean to everybody. I'd like saying, you should get good, you know. You have to kind of commit yourself a little bit. Not that there isn't toxicity in MMO communities. I'm absolutely sure that there is. But for the most part, it's just like, a lot of people seem fairly nice. and you know, and partly because of they, you know, feel comfortable to sit down and do this like role playing kind of stuff. And I don't know, it's this whole game and this whole experience playing this game has been very just like eye opening. It's just like just new. It's just a new and different experience. It's something I've never seen in video games, and it's something people have always told me exists in these types of games, but I never really truly believed them, because, you know, it just didn't seem real to me. Because like for me, once I'm not playing a game, I completely disconnect from the game, right? I just completely disconnect from what's happening in the game, right? Like the world of the game, it still like persists in my mind, so it doesn't like go away, but it, you know, it just kind of sticks around, right? Like, sorry, the experience of being in the game just kind of dissipates, right? But it's very interesting and very fun to see this, you know, person exist and be all like, that's a completely different person who's living a wildly different life from me, you know, and this is something they can completely enjoy for one reason, and it's something I can completely enjoy for an entirely different reason. And I just found that to be a very sweet moment and a very fun moment, because it's just like, here's this community I've never been exposed to, and it's just incredible. It's incredible to see that kind of stuff, and I was really blown back. I was really blown away by that moment, and we all became friends. We all like shared friend codes and stuff after it. I was just like, that's wonderful. And it did kind of make me feel more connected to the people that play this game, because it's like, yeah, you totally could just like jump in for a hot minute and just start talking to somebody, just like kind of start hanging out with them, right? And so it's just wild. Like, I've never had an experience like that. Like, usually when I play games, and I'll chat with people like on a microphone or just even through text, right? It's usually like pretty hyper focused on like, oh, just get good at the game. Like, oh, you're not doing this and that in the game. And it's like, and admittedly, it's particularly competitive, right? Whatever game that is. But even in some like somewhat not competitive games, that still exists and that still persists, right? But it was so wild going into a different world and just being all like, this is different. People here think and act and feel differently, right? Something I'm sure I have been exposed to people like that. Like I said, I've made a lot of good friends with people who are less excited about being sociable, if you will. But to see that different side of people was just really incredible. It was just really eye-opening, really inspiring. And that, I think, really exemplifies maybe the undertones of why I've been enjoying this game so much, because it's just a cool game, man. Like, it's just, I don't know. It does something I don't think I've seen in any other, like, place before. And I'm sure this is, like, the standard... It's not a standard experience, but experiences to this effect happen all across the board in a lot of different MMOs. But this was the first time that, like, I got it. Because before I just didn't get it. I was like, okay, role-playing's fun, but what happens in an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, But there's this guy just 100% committed. Just 100% commit, right, to this identity. And I was just like, dude, that's wild. That's totally wild. Which is great that actually happened, too, because as you guys know, I watch content creators on YouTube, particularly big ones, right? Like, I mean, hey. But I just watched the Anthony Padilla interview, right? The co-creator of Smosh, if you will. And he was talking about how his current content after he is engaged with Smosh focuses on interviewing people and like getting to know different things and different people and different like ideas, communities, stuff like that. He goes a little far out there. He talked about on that podcast, at least specifically, sexual kind of things, and it's just like, all right, Anthony, there's no other communities you can bring up other than sexual ones. Because I actually found out about Anthony and the fact that he does that kind of stuff because Iron Mouse appeared on his channel, and he did an interviews with like Iron Mouse and I think a couple other VTubers, but I only really saw snippets of him interviewing Iron Mouse. And so I was just like, this is wild. This is wild. Let's see. Suppress rare enemies, defeat defeat bosses, augment capsules, dread enemies. I guess I got the materials and I just didn't notice. But he was talking about that. He was talking about how he likes to engage with different communities of people, different stuff, and I actually understood what he was talking about, like, completely, because I was just in my mind when I was listening to that interview, that podcast that they do. I was just like, that makes sense. This makes sense. It makes sense absolutely what he's saying, right? And I was relating everything to like what happened in my experience, and I was like, yeah, I get it. Yep, I absolutely understand where Anthony's coming from with every point he's making, you know. So yeah, I don't know. It was just a really fascinating little curtail to things. That I just really appreciated. I don't know. I'm trying to look through these to see what to do next. I think we're gonna do field races because field races are kind of, they're not the best, but they're also not terrible. So a field race, because this game focuses a lot on like terrain traversal and like an open world. This game features these little dashes, is what they call them, where it has you go through just a couple gates like Superman 64 style, and just like the best time wins. I have literally not seen anybody else anywhere close to attempting these with other people. Like look around me. Is there anybody standing here waiting to join this dash and race each other? It doesn't seem like it's the biggest, most favorite thing. I've only ever seen other people around there if they are trying to, if they're trying to see like something in that area and they just teleported there, or once or twice because they're doing the same exact thing I'm doing, where it's like, complete the quest. It is fun though. This gives me something that's fairly easy and more or less, you know, mindless, if you will. To just kind of like wrap up that series of thoughts. But yeah, no, it was a very eye-opening experience. I'd say at the very least, because I've never met somebody who has acted that way towards me. I've definitely met people who are like that, but I've never met anybody who has acted like that towards me, and that was just a very eye-opening experience, I think. And that's why I kind of want to stick around with the game, even though it's like very grindy. Because like after that moment happened, right? Because we failed the mission, unfortunately, right? Like we weren't able to do it, and I felt really bad because I was like, I don't have like, you know, fully upgraded stuff with like the absolute maximum, like best stuff in the world, and I was just like, I don't know, maybe I should like work harder and like get better equipment so I don't like, you know, disappoint people like this, you know. And so it was really weird because it's like usually I don't care about like getting the best like stuff in a game for the sake of like not wanting to disappoint other people. Usually it's just that it's like I just like getting the best stuff in the game because it's fun, you know. But this time it's just kind of like, man, maybe I should get the best stuff in the game so that I don't disappoint people and I can, you know, we can all hang out and have a good time. But I don't know. That is my tangent? That's my story that I wanted to bring up that I would mention in Apex. Yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy this game. I think it is fun. I honestly cannot think of right now any game that I would purchase that I would say is specifically better than playing this. And I mean that honestly, right? Like, I cannot think of a game that would require to be purchased that is more fun than playing this. And I'm sure that will change because there's there's DLC that's going to be coming out for Elden Ring eventually. It's going to happen. I know they haven't announced anything about it, but they are not going to be able to get away with not releasing DLC. Like, their company as a whole will struggle if they come out to the people at large and just go, nope, Elden Ring is perfect exactly how it is. No more DLC. There's nothing is changing about this game. It stays exactly where it is. You know, that's just not going to happen. That's just not going to happen. Because, like, Sekiro, right? With Sekiro, they had... even like a long time after they released it, they went back and they like fixed a couple bugs and like released a new mode where you just go fight all the bosses. You know, and that's not like proper DLC where it's like a new area or whatever, but it is still an opportunity to say that they are like they're watching their old stuff and being like, hey, you know. So yeah. Anyway, which I've been seeing there's somebody in the community for the Souls series, Soul games. Let me get a quick drink of water here. Ah, they're a YouTuber by the name of Zool the Witch. They go into like depth about certain specific elements within the Souls series. There's a couple channels out there like that. I can't remember the names of the other ones off the top of my head, but I'm just gonna say she because that's like the persona of the person that they have in their when they like create film when they take screenshots of the game and they like show off stuff in the game, they always play as like a witch character, like a female witch character. So I'm gonna just say she goes through and like explains very in-depth aspects of the game, and she's been coming back to Sekiro as like a paid promotion thing for Sekiro. To like show off elements of how Sekiro is different and, you know, different situations with that. And that's leading me to believe that they are either going to release DLC for Sekiro here or like a remaster version of it. Or they're going to make a new Sekiro game or something. That would be my hopes at the very least for something like that, right? Hey, we did it. So we just completed that. That's why people don't really do it unless you organize a bunch of people to sit down and do it specifically. That's why not a lot of people do that, because it is just compete for the highest score kind of thing. And that's kind of boring if you're just sitting down and doing it by yourself, unless you really appreciate and like that kind of stuff. I think for a lot of other people in this game, it's kind of considered, at least compared to the other content in this game, somewhat boring. I think it's still fun. I still think it's interesting because you gotta like sit down and like figure out what angle you're gonna take, which one you're gonna go to first, and how to like route it all out perfectly. But it does also come down to execution, and that's harder than you would think. That's why a bunch of speedrunners spend thousands of hours perfecting the like most minute of movements in games, you know. So this is going to complete the dailies that we have. So at the very least, we can just stop whenever we want to at this point. I'm gonna keep going for another little bit, just because there are a couple more tasks that we can accomplish. Got some mission pass stuff. What's up? It is STP. Let's go. This is a it's like a little colorful badge thing that you can put out into the world as like an emote. Let me see if I can find it to show it off to you guys. SPT. Let's go. I don't really use them, so I don't know exactly immediately where to find them. Let's see. Communications log, arcs, nearby, friends list, party commands. No, would I just, no? Manga? No, that's not it. Balloons? Emphasis. Emote stamps. There we go. So these are stamps. So you can set them up for auto replies just while you're playing the game if certain conditions are met, like you complete a quest or something. But this is what I just got. I just got something to put into these stamps. I think it's this one. Let's go. So yeah, you can customize it and have some fun. Ho ho! Stamp. Send. Yeah, check it out. I think it's pretty fun. Again, I don't really use them as much, particularly because I don't have a lot of them. They are weirdly hard to come by. And of course, it has to have a purpose as to why you're using it. So I only really see the use in like automated stuff. But anyway, so what are we gonna do next? What is gonna happen next here? You could go get some vegetables. You guys want to go get some vegetables? Don't even like eating them, but let's go find some. I have a couple places I like to go for vegetables that makes it pretty easy. Are there vegetables there in the field, or? I don't remember there ever being vegetables there. I always go to that location, and it never mentions vegetables. Yeah, there's vegetables just over here in this little nook. Over here in this little Tom Nook. That's another game I've spent a lot of time in. Not a crazy amount. I'm not like a big Animal Crossing like hyper fan. And I'll tell you why. I love the game. I think it's a fun game, but the game just expects you as a player of it to just like fully buy into the idea that you're going to be coming back every single day to play more Animal Crossing. And for as much as I like it, I really didn't like the idea of like, I gotta commit myself to coming back to this little island and doing chores, you know? Right, you could argue the same thing about PSO that I'm doing right now, but there's like mechanics that you sit down and do and have fun. I saw it more in Animal Crossing as just like, cool, let me go clean up my island. Even though there's no specific reason why my island should be dirty, you know? Because it's a video game, and chores like that don't make sense in a video game. I'll see if I can research again to see why the game is lagging. It is just the game that's lagging. I still haven't been able to figure it out, but if it's worth it, I think I will. I don't normally spend money on free-to-play games, but if for the sake of stream, if I can like switch servers and that fixes the in-game lag, maybe I'll do that. But it might just be lagging too because there's so many people in this ship. So I mean, maybe it's a good thing that it's lagging, but I don't know. Again, and I've also tried it at its minimum settings, and that did not solve the lag. It still lags in-game, even though I have a decent computer. So I don't know. I honestly think it's just that they have somewhat unstable servers. Not that they have bad servers, but I've not gotten the best impression from their server maintenance because they've had a lot. When I first started playing the game, and I haven't been playing it for too long, at least over the course of a span of time. I've played it for quite a number of hours, but when I first signed on, it had like a little notification like, hey, check it out. Come get all these free items. And I'm like, oh, really? Okay. And I was like, why do I need these free items? And they're like, oh, a week ago before you even started playing the game, there was a server outage. And I'm like, what? And there was like 4 or 5 of these different messages. And I'm just like, at least they're working hard on the servers, but they don't seem like the most stable things in the world. But who knows? I don't know. I'll do some more research on it. I've yet to find any specific information. I honestly don't even know if other people are dealing with this, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I could even like just message them too and be like, hey, I have good internet. I have a decent computer. I don't know why the game lags, but whatever. There's some more vegetables. Oh, I'm actually just gonna go to the next place that I best like to do it. The Oasis. The Oasis has like at least 13 vegetables all lined up in a big circle. And I actually really like the Oasis too. It reminds me, every time I come here, it reminds me of Super Mario Sunshine. I love Super Mario Sunshine. The first time I came to the Oasis in this game, I was like, it's like a reverse Super Mario Sunshine. Because in Super Mario Sunshine, there's like these tiny little circular islands around Delfino Plaza, just like the main hub of the game. And I loved going out to those islands because it's like, I'm on a little island surrounded by all this water. And it's just like being in this oasis. Because there's not a lot of oases in games from what I know. It just feels like a reverse version of that. And I'm just like, I'm in a tiny pond in a giant desert. So I like it. I really enjoy it. So yeah, well, you know, now that I'm thinking about that, I actually do. My brother has access to the Switch version of Super Mario Sunshine, so maybe we could play Super Mario Sunshine on stream. I'm not gonna guarantee that. I'm not even gonna like waver the idea as something that shall be, because we have a lot of other games to play. We have a lot of other games that have been holding off from over the last couple months to sit down and play. And we shall play them thusly. Not right now. It's somewhat late where I'm at. And just do not want to right now, if that's okay with everyone. Not today. We'll get back to it tomorrow, but hey. Complete dailies. We are working on that. So these three are just do the daily stuffs. Clear bunker type 1. That one's going to be hard. Cannonball Rumble is really hard for some reason. PSE burst and then weapon armor enhancement. We could do weapon armor enhancement really easy. And that's a solid 50 grand. Let's do it. Actually, while we are checking that out, I can show you off. I can show off another city. I'm actually the least impressed with Ritem City. I'll just say that now. It, like, canonically, it makes a level of sense why it's so small and why it's, like, kind of just this little tiny village in the middle of Nowheresville. But that notwithstanding, I'm not the biggest fan of Ritem. I'm sure there's more lore to it from the original PSO2, because, as you'll see, it looks like it's in the remains of a giant cockpit or something. So I don't know if there's specific relevance to that lore-wise in the game. But yeah. And I will say, though, if the game will load and not lag, this image right here looks great. Right? You have all these like cool different like things and stuff. But as soon as you turn this way, it's just kind of gross whatever. As soon as you turn that way, it's just kind of gross whatever. And then if you get like to any of the side pieces on here, it's just kind of like ugh. And from a distance, it doesn't look good because it's just this big weird shape. I don't know. I still love Ritem. I still think it's really good and well designed and cool, especially with considerations towards the lore and everything. But it's not my favorite place to hang out, which is why I think it's odd that they have the they have these like in-game concerts by one of. Speak of the devil! Ah! They have these in-game concerts that they do right over here, that one of the main characters will come out and she'll sit and do a little in-game concert here. I don't know if it's like a copyright problem to be hanging out and like listening to her. It's like in-game content. It's in-game content, so I don't know if it'd be a problem necessarily, but you never know. So I don't know. Why are we here? What are we doing? Oh, so you have armor in this game, much like a lot of other games where you equip things to get higher stats. I've been considering purchasing this because this is the best item out there that gives you raw weapon up. So these three little icons, the little red sword, the little blue gun, and the little yellow wand here, those relate to different sections of classes that they have. And they're color-coded, so it's pretty easy to understand. But if it has a weapon up here, that basically means more damage, and your damage goes up, your weapon's more effective, which is attached to this armor. And I have a spread of armor because the game gives you some armor, or it's like easy to find in the open world and like some specific chests. And so I have that, right? We came here to item lab enhancement, so we can get that solid 50 Gs. I don't know what I'm gonna enhance though, because this is mostly leveled up, and then everything that I have on me is like mostly leveled up. Now, this isn't leveled up. Why is this not leveled up? I don't know why this is not leveled up. I want to keep that. Why can I not? Why can't I use that? I can. Why did I have an X out? It's weird. I don't remember that. I guess just... Oh, I can't equip it. That's why that's there. My bad. Hey, we just got 50 grand for spending not that much money. So... These are a little annoying. You can get titles for doing certain actions a certain number of times. And it does give you items for it, so it's like, for the annoyance, it's not that big of a deal. It gives you star gems, which is the... It's like a more expensive form of money that they have in the game. But you always get this little notification over your personal thing, and it's like, check it out, there's something new. And you're like, is there? You click in it, and it's like, oh, I got a new title. Awesome. So, this is going to take like 5 to 10 minutes to actually start. So I think we can go ahead and work on one of these. Urgent and Dread. We could do a Dread. Could we do a Dread enemy in that time? There's another one that wants me to do Dread and Alio. Okay. So Dread enemies are harder versions of enemies that exist in the game world. Excuse me. Just naturally. And so you can find these just out and about. And so that's what Dread enemies are. They're just harder versions of stuff you would encounter in other quests, other tasks and things. So yeah. Ho ho. Here we are. Transfer to Alio. There is one that I like to fight a lot. He's up in this little corner here next to the river. It's really easy to beat. He's really easy to beat. So yeah. You know, I did just like, I did during that like big like heartfelt moment of like, I understand MMOs now. I've been enlightened. I did make a note about like some Call of Duty bro is less likely to sit down and play an MMO because there's more of an upkeep to this kind of game. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, there's like 20 different ways to get items, and to like figure stuff out, and they're all in different places. And so it would seem less likely that somebody whose only interest is like fast-paced first-person shooters would want to sit down and play this. And like come in and just start being rude in the same way you would be rude in a Call of Duty lobby. But ironically, I got a ticket that lets you choose an item out of those like roles that I was showing you. And one of them lets you have a gold customization option for your weapons. And I was looking at it and I was like, I could have a gold gun like in Call of Duty. I just like jumped on it immediately. I was like, yes, gold gun. It's very fitting too, because this is the class I'm the highest in. So you see that number 60, right? That's the level cap. I'm at 39 for Force, and I've been playing with Force as like my secondary class forever in the hardest zone, and like that gives you the most EXP, and it just won't get to be a higher number. I just can't get it to be a higher number. There's a lot of easy ways to get EXP. I'm just complaining because the only ways that I've attempted. Man, I haven't found any of the Alio bosses. What's going on? I've only been doing like the simple easy stuff that doesn't give you a lot of EXP. So it's admittedly acceptable to some degree, but yeah, I don't know. Where? Oh, there is one down here. There is it's like a samurai guy. Should be down in this corner. Hopefully he spawns. There's like no dread enemies spawning in the Aleo region. No, I'm really just running around doing nothing. It's a very pretty game. I'd say that I wish, even though it's like very detailed and very nice, I do still wish that they, I don't know, just bought the assets or something from the Unreal Engine demos where they went around and did a bunch of photogrammetry on rocks in Utah. Because it was like from Zion's National Park or something like that. There's a lot of like very sandy, rocky zones in that area. And so they sat and got a bunch of photogrammetry and like, I don't know if they released those assets, but they made them available to some degree. And so I wish that they just sat down and bought those assets and just manipulated them enough to work for this game, because some of these rock faces, you can really tell that there's a lot of faceting going on. But, you know, I mean, hey, that would probably only make my lag situation worse, because then it would actually start to affect the performance of my PC. I'm very disappointed. We're going to switch gears. I have not come... Out of the 3 that I've tried to encounter, I have not come across any dread enemies in the Aleo region. Okay. I guess we're just going to switch it up. We're just going to switch it up. We're going to pick a different thing to do. I'm going to go do a different thing. Dread, Urgent, Battle, Formers, Altars, Dolls. Those are just the 3 variants of enemies that you can fight in the game. PSE Bursts. I still need to get another PSE Burst. So I say we go to Lost Central. It's the highest place that you can grind in a grinding zone in the game currently. There is the Rayaford Gorge, which is the big reason you should go to the Kavaris region for the most part. It's the end game content. But it's not a really great place to grind because there's no PSE bursts and there's nothing else going on. PSE burst is the thing that we saw very early in the game where like a bunch of enemies pop out after you fight a couple select specific enemies. Alright. A drink of water has been had, and thusly we shall continue! Oh! I did actually want to talk about this. I didn't write down any notes or anything, but I did want to talk about this because part of the reason I feel like I was compelled to play this initially was because when I was younger, we had Xbox 360 in our household. And one of the games that we got access to, I can't remember if we like rented it or something like that. But it was Phantasy Star Universe Online or something like that. Something to that effect. And we all loved it in our household, but we just didn't know really how to play it all too well. And it was like the early days of Xbox Live being a thing and like DLC being a big thing. And so we were just like, why is this thing like not money that I can use, and like why do you have to get this certain pass or whatever, you know? I actually want to show this off. If I was sitting down and just playing this game by myself, I think I probably would just deal with it. But I do want to show this off because I did kind of talk it up a little bit, but you can switch what room you're in to one where there's people who are also playing in that same room. So here you go. So you got room transfer. Do not do it with enemies nearby. What is a fricka frunka? Ah! Ah! Get out of here, you big fridge on legs. Get out of here. Oh, there's a pangolin. Ugh. Pangolin's like a boss enemy. They just take forever to kill. Just take forever. Take forever! And Pangolin doesn't have any gear that I want. Each of these like bosses has gear that if you fight them a billion times, there's a chance you might get a specific end game weapon or armor. It's Pangolin has nothing I want. I think Pangolin is like, I think Pangolin's like the boots class. Yeah, there's like a Bayonetta-style boots class in this game where you fight with your legs. And you like sit and slash them up with your legs. Which is kind of weird, but I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's cool, but I'm not going to do it because for some reason I've just barely attached to using the gunner class in this. Don't know why. I've also really been enjoying the Talus class. Because you could sit down and you could just like spam a bunch of like different magic moves. That'd be like a cool like, you know, intelligent, like I'm using a bunch of different cards and spells against you kind of thing. Which I think is kind of fun. A very underlooked part of the conceptual storytelling of magic. Where it's like, there's a bunch of other, you know, like MacGuffins you can use to, you know, describe how magic can be used. And often, it's, you know, like how we describe magic in our world, you know, with like Penn Teller type of thing. Somebody else just joined this room? I think somebody else just joined this room. Two of our little buddies just left, so I think somebody just joined this room. But I really like that magic in like anime movies and stuff is like shown as a cards thing too. There was a Kingdom Hearts game that did a very similar thing. I think it was for like the Game Boy Advance or something. Anyway, I'm starting to get real big boy tired here. Real big boy tired. Real big, large gentleman tired. If you can't tell. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, I just need to get a PSC burst. I need to get that burst. It's gotta burst. Is that against the Gaza? I don't know what a lot of policies actually are for Twitch, so I apologize. The only reason I even know of the GASM policy is because I should know what it is otherwise. But I especially know how it is. Let's put it that way. I especially know what it is because Vinny Vinesauce had a couple of his emotes removed for reasons pertaining to the GASM policy. Which is kind of weird because they got rid of like just like a little dancing gremlin thing. I did just kind of sit back and I was like, why dancing gremlin thing? It moved me to a complete. I wasn't paying attention. It moved me to the Belguna ruins or whatever. Belugana, blij, blaj, blij, blij.
The live concert is on right now for Phantasy.
Live concert's on right now, baby bear. Gotta go check that thing out. Wow. Space is running low. My space is running low. That's okay. I think we should be able to get a PSC burst really quick, especially if there actually is legitimately people here. You might be wondering why I don't care crazy amounts about the concert. The concert gives you like a rarity chance boost if you attend. And we're not going to be playing for very much longer, so I don't think it's really too relevant. We might stick around at least for it to end, because usually a concert's followed up by an urgent thing. So I might be on for the next little while, but enemy presence detected. Wow. Check it out. There's like a bunch of goobers running around here, huh? Trial start. Did we not just end the trial? What? Yeah, no, we just ended it. This large gentleman needs to hurry up with his video gaming, because I have meetings tomorrow. I I have meeting type things tomorrow. I have to attend meetings where we have to discuss business and stuff and stuffy business. Oh man. Even though I will tell you I don't like to talk about work, I secretly really enjoy my job. I'm not going to talk about it, and I'm not going to say exactly what it is. But which is weird, because I've done a lot of different jobs, and I just really appreciate the one that I'm at. I don't know. I think that's really hard to do, and I don't know. I appreciate my job. I really do. I know I can't really go much further than that, and I have stated I won't, but I think people get very discouraged about jobs. And I get it. I totally get it. I wish people didn't have to get discouraged about jobs, but there are some high-end realities where even in a perfect world, it still would not work, unfortunately. Perfect in the regard that everybody was nice and wonderful. There would still be, for example, let's say everybody wanted to be a carpenter, and like sell their stuff to other people, right? There's not going to be enough people who want carpentry all the time if everybody wants to be a carpenter. And so sadly, even in a perfect world scenario, there are some things that just cannot happen, unfortunately. But I would say if you're discouraged at your job, I don't have a lot of good advice. I'm actually going to retract that. I don't have a lot of good advice. I don't have a lot of good advice. I stayed at a job I really didn't like doing for like upwards of 3 years. So, yeah. I liked the people that I worked with at that job, which I'm not going to get into much further, but I liked the people that I worked with. I just didn't really like the job so much. It was like a customer servicey thing, so everybody would like yell at me and get upset. And it was like over stuff that I had no idea what was happening, which was even more like difficult because it's like you're speaking to me like I understand the whole conversation, but you're just starting with like, I'm having problem. Why don't you understand everything about problem? And it's like, because this is the first I've ever heard of it, you know. Which I get it. I get it. Oh man, I'm getting to rambly bambly moments. That is a quick note I want to just say. I say a lot of good. I should probably have like a warning, like a little subtext warning at the start of streams. Just saying, I say a bunch of goobery words, and I just try to have as much fun with words as possible. And if I accidentally say something in my pursuit of attempting to say a funny word, and it turns out to be a very not funny word, I'm sorry, and that's not what I'm intending to do. And I will do my best to understand whatever word I said that is not acceptable. I know what, like, most of them are, so I do know how to avoid a lot of the bad ones that will actually get me in a lot of trouble. But there's a lot of crazy, like, in this country, like, you know, this very specific group of people talks to this other very specific group of people in a very derogatory way, and they use this word. And it's like, I'm sorry I don't understand that very specific thing. Please don't get mad at me. I'm just trying to have fun with words, because having fun with words is fun. It's like a Dr. Seuss kind of thing. Like when Dr. Seuss sits down and says like a bunch of wild stuff, it's like that's the type of fun I am attempting to have. Is just like, you know, I don't even know a lot of Seussian words. The sneeches, I think that's one thing. Where it's like Sneeches is not offensive to anybody. It's just a fun, wild word. And so I just like having fun like that. That's something I really enjoy. I really enjoy that kind of like wordplay stuff where it's just like, come up with a new word and commit to it. So, I don't know. So again, if I say something gooberish in my slurred, like, slurred was not the best choice of words. If I say something gooberish and it ends up being a slur, there you go. That's not what I'm doing. I am just trying to have a fun time and not take life too seriously. So just let me know, and I will attempt to put that in my memory bank and not include that in my random babblings. So yeah, this is taking forever to get a PSC burst. We should have gotten it by now. Every time you do a one of these little trials, you're typically supposed to be given another little notch for a PSC burst. You can tell where you are with PSC bursts at the top left where the little map is. Each one of those notches needs to be filled, and you fill those notches by fighting groups of enemies labeled with E's, which just says that there's energy for a PSC burst to happen, or you complete trials, which are supposed to like guarantee, I think, give you a note for PSC burst, but it doesn't feel like we've gotten a PSC burst yet, so I don't know what's going on. I need to look at the mechanics of how these zones work again, because I feel like I feel like it's either that I get a ton of PSC bursts, like one right after another, or I just don't get any. And it seems like I'm in like a pretty dry spell with getting PSC bursts. Aye! Aye! No dying on my watch, sir! Not today, not ever, not even at night. I think you could tell that I'm kind of losing it. I think you could tell. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I'm going a little crazy. Oh man, I am in a giggly mood. Which is great, because I was not in the best of mindsets before I started streaming. So I'm glad that streaming has brought me to a giggly mood. Because I enjoy being in a giggly mood. I enjoy being in a giggly mood because when I'm in a giggly mood, right, like, the smallest of things will just set me off, and I'll just be like, that guy said squash, you know, and it's like, yeah, well, why is that funny? And it's like, because it's a vegetable and a verb. It's just like, you goober. Of course it's a vegetable and a verb. And it's like, but they could be used together. You can squash a squash. And I'll just giggle about that. Just like how I did just giggle about squashes having both a verb and a noun. I love how I'm giving an example of why I giggle to things in a giggly mood, and I'm giggling to that thing while I'm in a giggly mood. I am never gonna be a successful streamer by the numbers. I have such a very hyper-specific personality. I don't know if anybody will even care. I don't know if... I think people will probably sit down and be like, ah, he describes himself as a goober, huh? And then you'll look at my description and be like, oh, yep, he's a goober. Oh, man. Oh, man. Goober became my favorite word with the release of the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. That's a solid movie. That's a movie that I don't think is going to be irrelevant for many years to come. I think that I don't know about modern SpongeBob. I haven't seen a lot of modern SpongeBob. I feel like I've commented on it a couple times. But old SpongeBob was ahead of its time. Old SpongeBob, I still quote things from old episodes of SpongeBob. Like, that's how classic it is. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie also falls into that realm of just being an absolute classic. I don't know, man. I still, every time, I cannot get away from, like, Patrick flying in and being like, "Congratulations on the promotion, SpongeBob!" And it goes to Squidward. He has, like, a little flag in his butt. I have a very simple humor. This is how things are. That's it. That movie's gonna be relevant forever. That's gonna be a movie that I show to my kids, and I'm gonna be like, I saw this movie when I was a kid, and they're gonna hopefully at least sit down and giggle and laugh to it. Hopefully they don't become like social media monsters, and they're just like, well, of course, Dad, duh, SpongeBob's a big meme. Like, of course, you simpleton. You know, I hope my kids aren't like that. I don't even know why my kids would be like that in the future. I don't know. I don't know. Why am I even talking about this? And then I haven't seen. Maybe I should watch the newest of SpongeBob movies and report back to you guys, because I have not seen the like 3D animated SpongeBob movie that they released. It's got to be like 3 years old at this point, but it's the newest movie that I can think of with SpongeBob. I don't know. I should check back. You know, honestly, I should also commit to like watching some of the newer episodes of SpongeBob, because I have heard that the new episodes of SpongeBob are like good, but I saw like 1 or 2 and I was unimpressed when somebody told me that, and I was just like, what am I gonna do with this information? Why is SpongeBob something I don't like anymore? Which is also a thing with Fairly Odd Parents. Now, Fairly Odd Parents stopped being interesting a lot quicker than SpongeBob if we're comparing the two. And it stopped being interesting when they got Poof. And I know it's like, well, I like the characters. I like the character too. I like Poof too, but once they got Poof into the show, that's when Cosmo and Wanda stopped being these like cosmic entities that just perform wishes. They started to be like, this is like a family drama thing now, and we have to focus on the comedy about having a child that's unusually smart. And it's like, all right, okay. Hey, it did have, okay, yeah, after every concert. I didn't get that PSC burst. We're never gonna get the PSC burst. Screw it! We're just gonna... Oh, that's not... Oh, Ams Vera. There's a new... There's a new urgent quest where you can do a tower defense. And it almost more or less guarantees you to get a Roke's series weapon, which you need to sit down and grind the heck out to get to another higher weapon that you then also have to grind a significant amount, and it just doesn't work sometimes. Oh yeah, I should commit to watching some SpongeBob tomorrow and report back. I don't know. I will not promise that I will watch SpongeBob in the same way that I did not promise to play this game today, and in the same way that I failed to play Kirby today. The reason I didn't play... well, there's a lot of reasons why I started stream late, and why things are going the way that they're going right now. But a bigger part of the reason I didn't feel as confident with like starting with Kirby is because I sat down and reset up my computer so that I could get more space on my desk. I've been having like problems finding places to just like put a plate down. And I have a big desk. It's not like I don't have space, but I have like used the space in a very poor and very inefficient way for like a long time. And now, just the other night, I was like, you know what? I'm going to commit to maybe not doing the full job, but I'm going to do like 80% of the job so I can have space on my desk. So my setup is all different, and I just didn't have my Switch and stuff plugged in because I did a bunch of cable rerouting, and stuff's just not where it needs to be. So I didn't feel as confident with sitting there being like, yes, let me sit down and spend 2 hours when I'm already late to start stream and do Kirby. So hopefully I could get that all figured out tomorrow, among the other things to consider. So, oh, baby bear, baby bear. Kind of losing my mind. Why am I going for the silver guy? I need to be getting the PSC burst. I should still do the Amsvera. The thing is, it gives you like 10 minutes before you start. So I'm going to see if I can at least initiate a PSC burst before Amsvera is something we can do. And then we'll call it a night with Amsvera, because I think that's a pretty suitable place to call it a night. But yeah. Another trial. Trial. It better give me a PSC energy. Ow. Especially because it's big goober mammoth and a bunch of other enemies. Big goober mammoth. Big mammothy goober. Goober, mammoth, goober, mammoth, goober! Whoa! This mammoth ain't got nothing on me. He ain't got nothing on this. Guys with gun swords have something on me, but not Mammoth! No, sir! Mammoth has nothing on this cool cat. That's something else with BattleBots that there's a team called Mad Catter. They really commit to the bit of like a wrestling thing, and I appreciate the man for committing to it. But it's so off character to other stuff and the other people and the other contestants that it's just so jarring every time he does it. I love him for doing it. Again, you gotta you have to appreciate the grind at the end of the day. And yeah, he commits to it. He commits to the grind, you know. Is Amsvera available? Have I just been talking over this? Amsvera's, when you have a lot of people, it's kind of easy. It's kind of easy. I don't think we're gonna get a PSC burst. This is the biggest dry spell for a PSC burst that I've ever gotten. There must be somebody like running around. Oh, are you? How did it go up 2 energies? How? 2 energies in one. Maybe it was because it was 2 trials tacked on top of each other. That's possible, but I mean, who knows? Oh man. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, 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 man. There's a lot of stuff on the screen. That's one thing I will say is like crazy about this game that I wish you could just like control with the press of a button. Just like have a very minimalist screen, because there's a lot of information on the screen right now. There's the little action bar on the bottom that I barely use. There's the health at the bottom left. There's the banner top left. I have the task, which can be a much bigger window. It's a very small window what it is now. Then you got the PSE burst at the top. You got the what room I'm in. You got how many people are in the room. Bottom right, you got the chat. You got all this nonsense happening in the center of the screen with all the colors and stuff. It's just a lot on the screen, man. It's just so chaotic. It's just so chaotic. How does it... How can anybody keep track of any specific action that they take in this game? Okay, but we got it, though. All you have to do is initiate the PSC burst, I'm pretty sure. I don't think you have to stick around and defeat the enemy that spawns. Oh, that's a... Is that a bigger crocodilus than normal? This crocodilus feels very big. Why does this crocodilus feel so big? Is it just because it's a crocodilus in a tiny spot? I don't know. This crocodilus feels extra big for some reason. From this distance, it feels normal. I don't know. Let's kill this crocodilus. Maybe it'll give me some loot that's good or something. I don't know. We're gonna miss out our chance on Ames Varus because of this. This crocodilus feels unusually large. Which is weird, because I don't think they have scale differences in this game. Like, Monster Hunter does that, where, like, you can fight, like, slightly bigger, slightly smaller variants of monsters. Oh, okay. That's weird. It's never done that to me. But I don't know that to be the case in this game. Yay! We procced the ice. Also, the music in this game is great. I really appreciate the music in this game. Oh, Crocodilus was a lot easier to kill than I thought. Ah, nothing cool or special for it feeling bigger for some reason. Alright, let's go check out Ames Varus. Shglugluj. That didn't make any sense. I realized that. Oh, this is still 5 minutes out? Oh, that's because it happens every 30... It happens on the half-hour mark. I forgot. I forgot. What's that little bird thing down there? What is this? Oh, it's like a little squid thing. He's interacting with this other little wormy thing. They're communicating. Look at them. Look at these guys. The one guy's like, "Hey, what's up, bro? How did your day go?" Ah, the usual biz. You know, the wife, she needs more vacuuming materials. She ran out of bags for her vacuum. She's been asking me to go to the store, pick up bags for vacuuming. Alright, well, I think since we're waiting for the next 5 some odd minutes, let's check out what all these little notifications are. Force! Professional Force! Oh, did I finally level up Force? Ah, I got to level 40 with Force. Yeah! It still takes forever. Let's see. What did I get here? Oh, nice. End mission badges. I don't know what to do with these, though, because you just trade them in for tickets, basically. Why can't I take this? Oh, I'm full. My items are all full up from grinding around. Oh, I have a special scratch ticket on me. We should use that. Okay, we can clear up some space. Let's do that real quick. Let's clear up some space here. Got the snow. Do it every day, you get a solid 35 Gs. Which is like one upgrade. But over the course of like a week, it's like 100,000 plus items or more. So this is also why they give you like a material storage, because you can just collect. These are all the materials I have collected, I believe, during the course of us playing. And that's just crazy. There's just so much going on with that. Alright, let's see. Let's go grab that ticket. And then we'll do some rolls. Oh. Sorry, I would have to exchange these in order to do some multiple rolls. We will do that at the end. How about that? But we will right now. We will roll for the scratch ticket. Here we go. An average item. Here it is. An enhancement success rate plus 100. Boost the chances of great success when enhancing an item. Wow. Wow. Gotta boost them chances. I'm sure it's relevant, but I've never had specific problems with that when I've been playing the game. Where did that go? It was in here. I don't have enough space in my default. Yeah. What all is in my default storage? Oh. Yeah, well, that'll do it. I have plenty of Defrosis and Defroza, so why can I not get any of the Sasato stuff? I don't want this Sasato, though. I want the blue version. The one I have equipped. Which isn't showing? Why is that not showing? Oh, I'm in my default storage. Sand inventory. Right, see, I want it because it gives you plus 4.8%. So if I get 3 of them, that's like close to 15% of extra efficiency with my weapon, which is a big deal. But Defrosis armor only has plus 2. It's not worth investing. Plus it gives you 9 PP instead of 13 PP and 40 health. Which, I mean, come on! I don't know. Temporary drop. Crocodilus. Deposit. I'm sorry, I know this is boring. I'm sure this is not the most interesting thing.
We are beginning a counter-offensive against dolls appearing in the Caveras region.
Are you?
We request the participation of all ARC's defenders.
Oh. Why was it grayed out like I couldn't do it? Alright, so this is going to be the last thing we're going to do for the night. Is these urgent quests. They will show up and let you do something as a worldwide event where people can go and help you out. All these wonderful people, look at them. All these wonderful people. She's all colorful and in like a... I don't even know what kind of dress that is. I don't even know. Excuse me. Excuse me. Ah, man. You know what I wish they made? I wish they made an MMO, another one, because apparently they have already, but I wish they made another MMO with, not Final Fantasy, with Kingdom Hearts style graphics. I think that'd be very fun. They would I'm sure they would have a hard time, like, building it into the narrative that they've created for Kingdom Hearts. But, I don't know. because I feel like I've talked about this before, and I'm sorry if I have. I hate repeating myself, but there are a lot of touchstone games in my life where it's just like, yes, this game, like, it's just wonderful, it changed my life, you know. Um, One of those, at least I have a lot of a nostalgia for is I don't know if Kingdom Hearts changed my life, but I have a lot of nostalgia for it because it was one of the first titles that so video games were not easy for really anybody to get uh, like 15 years ago or so. That was the case, especially when I was younger, too. And so Kingdom Hearts 1 was one of the first games where my brother was like, hey, check it out, you know. I'm done with the PlayStation 2 because the Xbox is a thing. And the first game I wanted to play was Kingdom Hearts. And I played it and I was like, wow. The first time I had, like, all the control over the PlayStation in the house, you know. That's why it was relevant. I had played games on the PlayStation before, but I never really had the chance of, like, let's sit down and play an RPG that's gonna take forever because I had to share. And so yeah, so I played Kingdom Hearts. I really enjoyed it. Thought it was fun. I didn't really know much about it, and I was young enough at the time that certain story elements didn't seem as cringy as they might to some today or to older people. I still think it's decent. There is definitely moments where it's like, that could have been done in a more, you know, interesting way, or in a way that seems more timeless. But it was the first game that they did in the series, and it was at a time where it was unprecedented for something like Disney to engage with content like that, on that level, on that scale, like a very big title. So I could completely understand where they were like, just keep it as clean as possible. Like, 100%, just keep it clean. Just, you know, right? Like, you just try to represent everything as cleanly, as nicely as possible. And that's why I think that's why it had a very ambiguous kind of storyline in the first game, because it's just like, Sora is this character and he's fighting the darkness. And the darkness is represented by the Heartless and the Disney villains, right? And it's like, solid. The Disney villains are villains because they're villains for a reason. So we're fine with you saying they elicit some form of arbitrary perception of like ill will, you know, right? And so it's like, okay. And then of course after the first game made it really big, I think Disney probably loosened up a little bit and was like, all right, you guys can do whatever you want to do. And then I think it probably became somewhat esoteric, and then they started to move into more like 3D stuff and like more specifically time-sensitive, relevant stuff. And then I think that's why they started to like kind of reel it in a little bit and be like, you kind of gotta like wrap up all this wild story stuff, man. And I think that's what happened with Kingdom Hearts 3, is they were just like, we just gotta cover all our bases because this storyline is just done, you know. So I don't know. I'm excited to see what the new Kingdom Hearts is like, because they have not shown off Sora anywhere other than like Japan. So I don't know how much the next Kingdom Hearts is going to focus on Disney stuff, because it might be a case where they may do what they did with Aqua and give Sora like his own game where they just take him out of the whole Disney universe and do like a side story, because it looks like they put a lot of effort into the models that they have created for this like downtown Tokyo kind of environment that you see Sora in the trailer. So I hope, well, here's the thing. I would love to see what they would do with a clean slate, because they more or less got rid of most of the story, or wrapped it up. Sorry, they wrapped up most of the story that happened in prior Kingdom Hearts and Kingdom Hearts 3. So they are coming at it with a fairly clean slate, and I would love to see Sora not have to be committed to like having a very specific Disney centric thing, and just kind of go off and do their own like storyline. I would love to see what that looks like. I would still be a little disappointed if they didn't have any Disney stuff, because I feel like that's what adds to the lighthearted charm of Sora and that whole thing. But I loved the Aqua story, and even though there was reference to like Disney properties, they still played it off in a very like contained way, where it basically was just like a story of Aqua running around this unique world that wasn't inherently Disney. So I'm excited to see what they do with the new Kingdom Hearts game. I really want to see how they change the gameplay up a little bit, and how it works in a real world scenario. Because like, it's, from what I understand, it's not like it's an alternative universe like Tokyo. From what I understand, it's supposed to be like very explicitly like, this is like Tokyo, you know, like real, like canonically we're trying to make it like real world Tokyo, you know. I could be wrong. They might come out with the game and be like, oh yeah, psych, it's like an alternative universe style version of Tokyo. It's like, all right. Can't just commit to it being a real world thing for a minute. But I don't know. I'm excited. The trailers, if they keep the same gameplay and the experience is some larger version of what they showed in the trailer, I think I'd be happy with it. Even if it does have a wild storyline, I think I'd be pretty okay with it at the end of the day. But I have always said that they should do more with different characters. For as much as I appreciate Sora, I really appreciate some of the side characters that they have in it. Like Aqua is a great example. I felt like Aqua's side game was incredible, and I want them to bring that in the next Kingdom Hearts. And I wanted them to bring that in the next Kingdom Hearts. I wanted them to give it like a new protagonist, right? Not that I don't like Sora, but I kind of want them to experiment a little bit with like new characters, new protagonists in the same realm, in the same universe, but like it's just different people, you know. So I don't know. Well, we'll have to see how that goes down. But hey, we got an S rank. It's actually been a while since I've gotten an S rank on this. I got a rare drop. Resurger wand. That wasn't the rare. What was the rare drop? The Resurger stuff isn't rare. Hey, whoa. Oh, I'm in a... That's right. I'm in a party, and they dragged me out of it. That's what that inventory is for. If you join a party of random people, and they mess it up, you don't lose all your important stuffs. What is this? Why am I getting a tab notification? Hey, thanks. There we go. All right. So I think we're going to go ahead and call it a day here. I'm sorry for talking about Kingdom Hearts again. I don't fully remember every topic I've discussed in the stream. I know I've brought up SpongeBob a number of times. But I don't know how many times I have brought up I don't know how many times I've brought up Kingdom Hearts. I need to go to bed. I need to get sleep. Y'all, that needs to happen. That's a thing that needs to happen. Not just like, I should probably get some rest. I need to get sleep. My brain. At least it's working better than last night. Because last night I was freaking out not being able to read any text. Because I was just like, what is that word? Huh? Why is it in a funny text? And why are they speaking in a different way that I've never heard before? Alright, so what we're going to do, this is what those badges are for. I don't know what the long-term effect of holding onto these badges is, but this is the only thing I know to use it on, is to sit down and get... Wait a minute. If I spend two rolling tickets, I can get a target special? What? Why have I never paid attention to that before? I could have just been selecting stuff I care about and waited a little bit longer instead of just rolling for random nonsense. Ah, that's... Alright. 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 Man. Now I feel like I missed out a little bit. I mean, it does not say that there's any specific timeline that they're gonna get rid of the special scratch, right? Because these other ones, it's like, it ends at, 11/1/22. But this one just says undefined. Like, I don't think they're gonna get rid of it for some time. But I could have been going through and selecting all these cool things they have. I could have been getting these special poses. Check this one out. Hoo-ha! Oh, man. I'm losing it. I'm losing it. But I think we're going to call it here. Is there anything else that needs to be followed up with? I know we just got that ticket. I'm actually going to hold on to it now that I found out that there's a bunch of other stuff that you could apparently, like, you could exchange 2 normal scratch tickets, apparently. And you get a select ticket back. I wish I would have known that 40 tickets ago. Anyhow. So yeah. We're done. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to really talk about. Well, I have plenty of other things to rant on about and talk about, but this is all just stuff that can be done later, right? This is something that could be done whenever. It doesn't need to be done now. I mean, it needs to be done before the 30th, but that's it. These are just kind of whatever. It does give you some strong item upgrade stuff, but otherwise I don't really particularly care. And doing these is just kind of for my own personal benefit of the money and the EXP. Otherwise, there's no specific reason to do these. So yeah, I think we're done. That's gotta be an interesting dichotomy for Ina. No, they disappeared. I was gonna talk about that for a hot second and then definitely call it a night. You can be very specific with how you change your caricature in this game, and you could give your female roleplay character quite big wazongle dongles, and Hololive likes to joke around with that kind of stuff all the time. They make fun of like Gura for her character not having big bahongos. And so it is kind of interesting how you can dress up completely like Ina in this game and give her big bahongos. So I just find that funny. I thought that was a funny thought. I don't know. It's not really that funny since I had to explain the joke. If you know the joke, it's funny. I guess. I don't know. I don't even watch them. I still just like a small side tangent before I definitely call it a night. I just watch like little clips, and I've said this. I know I've said this a number of times on the stream. The only thing I do is I'll sit down and I'll watch like a couple small clips, like literally like a minute long clips, every other day or so, of a couple VTubers that show up in my YouTube feed. And that is the full context that I have for basically any VTuber. The only other one that I have more context for is Iron Mouse, and that's because she hangs out with Connor, Sea Dog VA. And I've seen a lot of like trash taste stuff and at least a handful of Connor's content, because he does sit down and hang out with Mouse a lot. So I know probably the most about Iron Mouse, but otherwise everything else contextually is just like small clips, which is weird, but I don't know. Just is what it is. We actually hit 2 hours, which is incredible. That's 2 hours, 40 minutes, I think, for the day. This is more than I normally stream by quite a decent margin. So I hope you guys had some fun. I definitely had some fun today. I went from a really grump, like bad mind mood, to having kind of a quite good fun time hanging out with you guys today. So I hope that if I had fun, that some of you guys had fun out there. And with that, I gotta get away from this. Hold on, I gotta get away from this crazy music that's going on here. This is really distracting me. It's really feeling weird. And I do appreciate you guys coming on by. I do appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I feel like Twitch is one of the few places where you can have an active engagement with your audience. Where like YouTubers, you have to like set up a specific like video and an idea for a specific video where you like interact. It's still playing the crazy music. It's still playing the crazy music. Look at these little guys. What is this? It's little ground fuzzies. It's wild. I guess I'll just have to deal with the crazy music. Well, is there really not anywhere on this world that I can go that does not have crazy music? I don't think there is. I don't think there is. Let's just turn the music off. That's how tired I am. Where's the sound? Sound. Back. What is it? Where is it? Background music. Background music volume. There we go. Okay. Hey, now we can just look at the big scary red thing in the sky. That's not a dirty shot. I'm sorry, I didn't think about that. I did not think about that. That's that's also why I made sure that if I was gonna wear any costumes, it's a fully clothed costume where accidents like that cannot happen. Because even if you're just playing the game normally, it can get a little dicey. Anyhow, I digress. I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream here. I really appreciate you guys coming on by. I really truly mean that. I know that probably comes off as disingenuous from bigger streamers, and I'm sure there's some element of that they can't control. But while I am still a small streamer, if I'm not just always going to indefinitely be a small streamer, I do very much well appreciate you guys hanging out and having a good time, and and yeah. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and end the stream, which brings us to our final segment of the day. And I will still provide the same disclosure. If you have any legitimate questions or concerns, please contact your primary care provider. I am not liable for any actions taken with the suggestions of these good-intentioned things. That specifically being our 3 mottos. The first one, if you have not had a chance to stand up and relax and get that blood flowing, get all that good blood flowing between your legs and your feet, that's a good time to do it. I mean, we've been playing for like 2 hours. It's a good time to do it. I mean, right? You gotta stand up, move around, wiggle and jiggle. Second thing is staying hydrated. I've been drinking water through the stream. I'm almost actually out of water. How much I've been drinking through the stream. So I very much recommend hydration. Very much recommend it. Those 2 things can be done in consequence. And if it's very late where you are as well as it is very late where I am, you could also do the third thing in consequence with the other 2. You could stand up, stretch your legs, get that blood flowing. You could get a drink of water. And you can get a good night's rest. Go to sleep. Get some sleep. Get some sleepy. Turn all the things off. Turn them all off. Don't if you get off this stream and you're like, hey, I'm gonna look at Twitter real quick. Don't do that. Don't do it. Just get some good sleep. Get some good sleep. You deserve it. Everyone deserves it. I deserve it. There is not a single human being on this planet that I don't think should, as a human being, deserve sleep. That's maybe why I feel very strongly about it. Well, and there's more to it. I have a storied history with sleep, but I'm not going to get into it too much. It starts to get a little personal when I jump into that side. Uh, but I will say, getting good sleep is something very important. Something that very much helps your body and brain and stuff out. I cannot confirm this, but I have heard offhandedly, I believe while watching a science show channel video on YouTube, that some people have suggested through clinical research that those who get less sleep are slightly more inclined to get Alzheimer's. I cannot verify this. I cannot verify this information by any means. This is third-hand knowledge from somebody who is not a doctor or a scientist. But even though I'm not a doctor or a scientist, I can tell you, being a human being, getting good sleep's good. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel all fuzzy and warm inside. And even just from like a practical standpoint, right? Uh, you get good sleep, and you're not a big goober like me, who's fumbling over their words and having trouble reading things and stuff like that because they're tired. So even just in that regard, even though there might not be long-term effects to not getting good sleep, there's definitely short-term effects of getting bad sleep. So, yeah, I'd recommend getting some good sleep. But with that, I shall, and shall once, and shall only once, and within one frame of reference, within one sentence, and within one final thought, comprised entirely within one centralized idea, shall say, indefinitely, indubitably, have a wonderful day, good night, and I shall be ending the stream thusly. And take care.